How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Lovely, lovely dress.
This is Bethany Yellowtail. She's a native designer. I actually decided to honor all native artists. This is Asphalt Apache who made these earrings, and then Carmen Guerrero. And I'm doing that to honor, the incredible creativity of native people. Thank you. Thank you.
Is it your first time at Tribeca Film Festival?
My first time at the Tribeca Film Festival, but I was blessed to be able to bring my dance company, which is called Dancing Earth, to dance at Battery Park at the Downtown Dance Festival just a few years ago. So I've been in this area, and then before that I was a dancer in New York for the early part of my professional career.
What kind of dance?
At the time I was doing first ballet and then modern dance, and now I've created a new genre called Indigenous Contemporary Dance. And it actually informs my acting, which I do more of the dance than the acting, but I don't know if you know this, but Michael Gray is the lead actor. He also has a dance background. He was a professional ballet dancer. So we knew each other when we were like 20 years old in New York.
How was it working with him again?
It was wonderful, and I was noticing our dance background and how it informs our acting, and we really sort of take the acting from the physicality, like finding the posture, finding the walk, and he was personifying a chief, and on set he was so kind and so gracious and so intelligent that he really looked out for everybody on the set, and I think that's what we believe our chiefs would really have been like. And when you look at the oral histories, that's, they're not about, sort of showing off, they're about being kind and, caring. So he really personified that.
It's a really great message. Everyone should be kind.
Yeah.
So what can you tell me about your character, Susan?
Tell me?
What can you tell me about your character, Susan?
So Susan, I'm going to call her Mrs. McLaughlin for now because I did some research on her. Even though her historical name wasn't Susan, there was a Mrs. McLaughlin, and she was incredible woman for her time. She was constantly advocating for the Lakota people because she was part Lakota, part French, and she actually wrote a book she published a book when she was in the 1800s as a woman of color, and so it was a book about Lakota stories, and she was very beloved by the Lakota people, who gave her a special name, which is Ina, which means mother, and that is like the highest honor. So I knew all that going in, and I wanted to carry myself from the perspective of a woman who knew that her people would be in danger if they kept their old ways, and she wanted her people to live and thrive. So she was encouraging them, towards education and learning English, because she believed that would be how they would survive. So I brought all that in, and then with my physicality, I'm used to moving with my body, but she was in a corset, and that's what she wanted to have this, empowerment, but she was locked into this corset. So using the tiniest little gestures to show her strength, like holding a teacup a little too long, things like that. Yeah.
Was that the most challenging part for the film? Since you have a
My challenge that I took on wholeheartedly was that I had to speak quite a bit of Lakota in the film, and I have relatives on the Lower Brule Reservation, adopted family relatives, and I knew I had to get the language right, otherwise I wouldn't be able to go back without, I'd be ashamed. So I was working on set, in between takes, just practicing, because I wanted to get it. And then the other professional actors, Sam, Siren, and they were joking around all the time. And then I realized that's how they stay loose, and that's why they can be so brilliant. But for me, I was like, okay, I'm not there yet. I'm just going to work on my language and get it. Well, Jessica Chastain is absolutely, consummate with details. And she made a statement to me early on. She said she would only do this film if a First Nations man was cast as Sitting Bull. And I just saw that she had so much integrity. And then, of course, Michael Gray Eyes, like I said, we had known each other from much earlier days in our life. We were both dancers. And to see him, become this amazing actor and, mature and gracious, and how he treated everyone on set, it's like how you want to believe our chiefs were, really caring for everybody. So that was really impressive. I want the audience to be moved by the humanity of not only First Nations people, but of, a chief that is this historical figure. And, there's often this idea of Native people as sort of stoic because they're only ever seen in photographs. And it's a living culture, living and breathing. And to the character of Tatanka Oyatek, Tatanka, Iotanka is the name for Sitting Bull. And to see what Michael brings to that role, to make everyone stop and think about, Native people now, because it's like bringing history into a new, contemporary, relevant form. I think it's a very special moment to be able to have the film come to New York. I mean, Michael and I actually both danced in New York, so we knew each other from when we were quite young performing artists. And to be able to bring to New York this vision that is, showing history through the lens of a woman, which is almost never seen, but yet it's not that formula of like white savior. It's more like the vulnerability of a woman in history at a time when she's, struggling to get, to sort of be empowered, and also Native people struggling to hang on to the power that they had. So bringing this alternative view of, who holds power is really, really important at this time in political history as well. I actually did a bit of research on my character, which is Mrs. McLaughlin. What does that say? Mrs. McLaughlin, who's that? And James McLaughlin was a known Indian agent in South Dakota. And so I did a little research, and he actually had a wife, and she was a remarkable woman. She published a book about her Lakota people because she was part French and part Lakota, and she was constantly striving for her people, which is something I do myself I'm a choreographer of a Native dance company. So I was like, I relate to her, and I want to honor her and honor the Lakota culture. Well,